Most eclipse advice online is vague enough to apply to literally any day of the year. Release what no longer serves you. Set an intention. Trust the process. None of that tells you what to actually do with your hands, your calendar, or your bank account in the next few hours. So here's a different approach. 8 specific, timed actions. Each one built directly from what's actually happening in today's real astrological chart, not generic eclipse folklore. If you only do 3 of these, do the ones with exact times attached. Timing is the entire point today. Here's a detail most people watching today's eclipse have no idea about. The eclipse point is forming a harmonious trine to retrograde Saturn in Aries. That matters more than it sounds. Saturn is usually the planet that makes you wait, that demands proof before it rewards you. On most days, Saturn is the obstacle. Today, it's the ally. A trine means support, not friction, which makes today one of the rare days in the entire year when Saturn is actively backing you up rather than testing you. Practically, that means today is unusually well suited for anything that needs to hold up over years, not days. Signing an important document, agreeing to long-term terms on a contract or lease, committing to a decision you expect to still be living with 5 or 10 years from now. Don't waste this specific planetary backing on something trivial. Save it for the one decision on your plate that actually needs to be built to last. Write your intention on an 18-month timeline, not a yearly one. This is the very first eclipse of a brand new nodal cycle that only began 18 days ago, on July 26th. That cycle runs roughly a year and a half before the nodes move on to the next pair of signs. Most people default to short-term framing when they write eclipse intentions by the end of this year, in the next few months. That timeline doesn't match what's actually unfolding astrologically right now. Instead, write your intention with an 18-month horizon attached. Not "I want this by December." Try "I want to have built real momentum on this by early 2028. Intentions written to match the actual length of the cycle they're writing tend to feel more achievable and less like arbitrary New Year's resolutions, because they're not fighting the natural pacing of the energy behind them. Burn what you're releasing before the peak, not after. Timing here isn't optional, according to the tradition this practice comes from. If you're doing any kind of release ritual, writing down what you're letting go of and burning the page, do it before 1:46 p.m. Eastern, the exact moment of greatest eclipse. The logic is sequential. Release happens before the concentration of energy peaks, not during or after it. Burning your letting go node after the peak essentially fights the current instead of moving with it. So set a real deadline for yourself today. Whatever you're ready to release, an old identity, a habit, a relationship dynamic, a version of a plan that stopped working, get it down on paper and burned before that early afternoon window closes. Save new intentions for after the peak. The flip side of the last point, don't write your new intention until after 1:46 p.m. Eastern has passed. This isn't superstition for its own sake. It's about sequencing. Clearing space and planting something new are 2 different actions, and doing them in the wrong order muddies both. Let the peak of the eclipse fully pass first. Then sometime this evening, write down what you actually want to grow into over the next year and a half. The order matters here as much as the content does. Avoid big spending decisions during the exact window of totality. Between roughly 12:58 p.m. and 2:34 p.m. Eastern, the window when totality is actually happening somewhere on Earth, hold off on any major purchase or financial commitment, regardless of whether you can physically see the eclipse from where you are. This has nothing to do with visibility. Eclipse windows have a long, consistent reputation in astrological tradition for distorting how people perceive value and urgency in the moment. Something can feel like an unmissable deal or an urgent necessity during this window and look completely different by tomorrow morning. If a purchase or financial decision can wait a few hours, let it go outside tonight for the purse sides and make your wish then. Once the sun sets in your time zone, step outside. Tonight's new moon means there's no moonlight to wash out the sky. And the Perseid meteor shower, one of the best of the entire year, is peaking on this exact night. This isn't a coincidence you should let pass quietly. Making a wish on a shooting star tonight specifically stacks two different kinds of astrological momentum. The eclipse has already cleared space earlier in the day, and meteor showers, unlike the slow, patient unfolding of eclipse cycles, carry a folk reputation tied to quick manifestation rather than long waiting. Use the pairing. Don't just watch the sky tonight, actually make the wish, out loud or in your head, while you're under it. Don't force an ending today, let it reveal itself. Both the eclipse itself and its supportive Saturn trine point toward the same instruction. Don't initiate a breakup, a resignation, or a dramatic exit today just because the day feels charged enough to justify one. The pattern that shows up again and again around eclipses like this one is revelation, not demolition. The day tends to show you clearly what's already ending on its own, rather than asking you to be the one who ends it by force. If a relationship, job, or commitment is genuinely finished, today will likely make that obvious without you needing to manufacture the moment. Watch for what naturally falls away today rather than pushing something out the door yourself. Check your chart for personal planets in Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio. Last, and most personal, if your sun, moon, or rising sign falls in Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio. Today isn't a background event for you. It's landing close to home. And everything on this list deserves more deliberate attention rather than a quick, half-focused pass. If none of those apply to you, today still touches your chart somewhere, just with less intensity. The same 8 actions still apply, just without quite as much urgency behind them. None of this requires you to be standing in the actual path of totality. The moon's shadow only touches a narrow strip of the northern hemisphere. Today, Greenland, Iceland, northern Spain, a sliver of Portugal. Most of the people reading this list right now won't see so much as a bite taken out of the sun. But the eclipse's placement, relative to your own chart, works exactly the same whether you're standing under the shadow or 8 time zones away from it. Visibility was never the mechanism. Timing always was. You've got the next several hours to actually use it.